Today's lesson is Off Stage with Ed Sheeran. Fun facts about the pop star. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike.
I'm Roger, and today we're going to continue talking about Ed Sheeran. You may have heard some songs of his like Shape of You and Perfect, among others, and maybe you like those songs, so maybe you would like to know more about Ed Sheeran himself. We're going off stage with him. We're going to talk about some interesting facts about his life. For example, he's self-taught. He taught himself how to play the guitar and probably taught himself how to sing. He had a humble beginning. He was staying on friends' couches in London to save money to establish his career. And he's also multi-talented. He's not only a musician, but he's also an actor as well.
That is absolutely true. And those are just a few of the facts we've learned so far. So let's go on with a few more, including Ed's love for a very popular tomato-based condiment.
A friendship with Taylor Swift. Sheeran has a close friendship with Taylor Swift. The two stars have collaborated on multiple songs, including Everything Has Changed and Endgame. Sheeran even opened for Swift on her Red Tour, an experience which he has described as a defining moment in his career.
大家好，第一部分介绍动词 collaborate， 它的意思是合作。例如The two artists decided to collaborate on a series of paintings. 这两位艺术家决定合力创作一系列的画作。或者 The two rappers collaborated on their new album. 那两名饶舌歌手合力制作他们的新专辑。
Okay, so everybody, let's first talk about his friendship with Taylor Swift. Okay, if you haven't heard of Taylor Swift, you're missing something. I don't know where you are, what kind of a mountain monastery you're staying in. But in any case, yes, he has a friendship with Taylor Swift. Sheeran has a close friendship with Taylor Swift. Okay, so of course, Taylor Swift is a very famous American singer-songwriter who comes from Pennsylvania, I believe, and she's often given concerts around the world. And yes, they met on the concert tour. They probably met somewhere, and they became good friends.
Very, very interesting. So let's find out all about that. Yeah, it says the two stars have collaborated on multiple songs, including Everything Has Changed and Endgame. So they've collaborated on multiple songs. This is a word, actually, that's become more and more common in music as more and more stars sort of pair up just for individual songs. You can actually look at many artists' albums these days, and it seems half of the songs are featuring someone else. So much so that they've actually shortened this word in a way that they didn't when I was young. It's a collab. They're going to collaborate or do a collaboration, which is the noun form. So a lot of people would say, oh, did you hear? Coldplay and Ed Sheeran are collabing or doing a collab for a new song or something like that. So it basically means two artists who are unique and individual on their own, have their own songs, their own albums, their own fans. They get together. It's kind of like when one big company like McDonald's gets together with Marvel and they kind of make products based on a new movie or something like that to sort of expand their market and mix their fan bases together. So they've worked together on multiple songs. Ed will do the music, Taylor Swift will do the lyrics, or vice versa, or a little bit of both. And those include Everything Has Changed and Endgame. So if you're fans of either of these artists, you've probably heard them. If you're interested in knowing what a Taylor Swift Ed Sheeran song would sound like, well, they have a few for you to listen to. And it's not just in the studio. It says Sheeran even opened for Swift on her Red Tour, an experience which he has described as a defining moment in his career. Wow, so he went on the road with her. He opened for her. He was the opening act, the warm-up act, you might also call that, on a big tour that she did a few years ago. So this would be probably several months of them traveling around, doing shows in different cities. Ed Sheeran would start the show, maybe play for 30, 45 minutes, and then Taylor Swift would later come on and do her full performance. And this experience was very important for him. It was a defining moment in his career. A defining moment is sort of a very important moment. It was a moment when things kind of changed for him a little bit. He might have been known by some sort of cool music fans at that time, people who like British music, since he is a British star. But here he is playing with this big American star, playing to a much younger crowd, more female. Who knows? knows what it was, but it probably really got him many more fans. And I know that actually several other artists have really benefited from opening for Taylor Swift because she is such a huge star.
So I guess maybe that helped contribute to his career. That's why we're describing it as a defining moment in his career. If he had not opened for Taylor Swift, maybe we wouldn't know about this guy at all. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's find out about his love for ketchup. What did you describe it as? A kind of tomato sauce.
That's right, America's favorite condiment.
A love for ketchup. Sheeran's body is covered in tattoos, over 60 in total. One of the most recognizable is the Heinz tomato ketchup label on his left arm, which reflects his well-known love for the sauce. Indeed, Sheeran is such a fan that he even asks his assistants to carry an emergency bottle at all times. A passion for Lego sets. Sheeran is an enthusiastic Lego fan. In fact, he even wrote a song called Lego House that was featured on his debut album. When he's on tour, he loves putting Lego sets together to relax, using them as a way to wind down after performances.
第二部分看到形容词 recognizable 表示可辨识的、可以认出的、被认可的。例如 Cheryl was barely recognizable with her new hairstyle. Cheryl 换了新发型，让人几乎认不出来。或是 John wears the same clothes every day, so he's always recognizable. John 每天都穿一样的衣服，所以很好辨认。继续看到动词 reflect， 它的意思是反映、显示、反射。例如 Lorenzo's kind actions reflect his true character. Lorenzo 的善行反映了他真实的性格。接着介绍名词 assistant， 表示助手、助理。可以说 Adam is the personal assistant to a rich businessman. Adam 是一位富商的私人助理。又或者说Dwight is an assistant to the regional manager. Dwight 是那名区经理的助理。下一个看到形容词 enthusiastic， 它的意思是热衷的、热情的、热心的。例如 James is quite enthusiastic about taking his vacation next week. James 对下周的假期非常热衷。再看一个例子 The fans were enthusiastic to see the band's concert. 粉丝们热衷于看该乐团的演唱会。再来我们看到名词 debut， 指的是首演、首次登台、首次亮相。举例来说 The band is set to make their debut at the music festival. 那支乐团将在音乐节上首次亮相。又或者说 The director's debut film won several awards. 这名导演的处女作赢得了好几个奖项。
Okay, so here he's got a love for ketchup, okay? A lot of times people describe ketchup as being tomato sauce, but they're kind of different. Ketchup is made thicker. I think it has corn syrup in it or something like that.
The stuff in America does, yeah. In other places, it's still sugar, I think.
Okay, so still, it's not something you should have a lot of in your diet, but some people do like ketchup. Of course, it's very common to have ketchup with your French fries, and Sheeran's body is covered in tattoos. Over 60 in total. Okay, now what do tattoos have to do with ketchup?
Well, that's a very good question, but one of the most recognizable, we're talking about his tattoos here, his body ink, his body art. One of the most recognizable is the Heinz tomato ketchup label on his left arm, which reflects his well-known love for the sauce. So there you go. You got to be a real fan of a food product to get the label from the bottle or the can or the bag or whatever tattooed forever on your own body. I mean, I don't know how much you like peanut butter or Coca-Cola or a certain type of instant noodles, but you really have to like it a lot to say, yeah, please tattoo that on me into my skin with ink and pay for it as well because you're such a fan of this food. But this is maybe one of the most recognizable. I mean, I think he's got like a lion and some different shapes and designs, flowers. But one of the things that would jump out at you because everyone knows what the Heinz tomato ketchup label looks like on that famous bottle, so that's why it's described as recognizable, right? It would be hard to find almost anyone in the world who wouldn't look at that and and go, oh yeah, that's the ketchup label, because Heinz tomato ketchup is so well known. It's on his left arm if you're trying to find it in a photo of him, and it reflects his well-known love for the sauce. So here when we say reflect, we're not really talking about reflect in the same way that we would use it talking about how light reflects off a mirror, the sunlight reflected off the water, or something like that. We use it more to sort of show, to demonstrate in some kind of way. So you could say, my friend's holiday in Paris reflected their love of art and fashion, because that city is famous for that, so that demonstrates, or it kind of shows in a more concrete kind of real way, this characteristic or this part of their personality. It embodies or represents something in a very sort of recognizable and easily understood way. Clearly, if you love a certain type of food and you have it tattooed on your body, that is a good way of demonstrating your love for that food, or his well-known love for the sauce. And I believe actually in England, ketchup is called tomato sauce, although as you pointed out, it is very different from the tomato sauce that you might make in Italian cooking or something like that.
I remember the first time my family took a trip up to Canada, and I thought it was kind of weird because they spelled it C-A-T-S-U-P, catsup. I'd never seen that spelling before. Do you have that spelling up in Canada?
Yeah, I didn't think that was Canadian at all. I think that was Southern American or something.
It might be. I don't know where it came from, but I'm used to seeing the word ketchup with a K there.
Yes, definitely.
That seems to be more common. But in any case, he's covered with tattoos, and one of them is the Heinz tomato ketchup label. Okay, so indeed, Sheeran is such a fan of ketchup that he even asks his assistants to carry an emergency bottle at all times.
Oh my gosh.
So he's such a big fan, he's got all these people who helps him out during his concert tours, and he's instructed them to bring along a bottle of ketchup in case he feels the urge to have something with ketchup on his burger or with his fries or whatever.
Wow, I wonder how much you get paid for being Ed Sheeran's ketchup caddy, the person who's responsible for having his ketchup on call at any moment in his life. All right, so there we go. So we know he loves ketchup. Here's another thing that he loves that has nothing to do with music or making music or playing concerts. Lego. It says a passion for Lego sets. Yes, those blocks, those colorful building blocks that kids love to play with, and adults too, clearly. Ed Sheeran is a fan. I was a fan of Lego, I got to say, as a kid, but he still enjoys his Lego. It says Sheeran is an enthusiastic Lego fan, so he's not just kind of like, yeah, Lego's okay. Or like me, where I loved Lego when I was 12 years old, but I don't have much Lego now. But no, he is an enthusiastic Lego fan even to this day. If you're enthusiastic, you're passionate about something, it excites you, you get pleasure from it, you really enjoy it, and you do it with a lot of energy, right? So if you're enthusiastic about what you're doing today, you're like, yeah, this is going to be great. Let's go. I can't wait. I'm so excited for this. You're not bored. You're not, the opposite would be apathetic. We're like, I don't really care at all. He loves Lego and he really enjoys using it and playing with it even today. In fact, it says he even wrote a song called Lego House that was featured on his debut album. I did not know that. Very interesting. It's good he was a success, because otherwise he might have been sued by Lego for using their name, but maybe they decided it was good advertising, and it probably was. And this song, Lego House, it featured on his debut album. The debut something is the first that they did, all right? So if it's their debut performance on stage, they've never been in a big play before, it's their first time on Broadway, their Broadway debut attracted a lot of fans, their debut album, debut movie, the first one that they ever did, probably assuming that there were several more that came afterwards, but this was the first.
And of course, when you're on tour, it can be quite a stressful situation, so you need to unwind, you need to relax. So when he's on tour, he loves putting those Lego sets together in order to relax, and it's a way for him to wind down after performances. Of course, you get really worked up during a performance. You're kind of hyper during your performance, and you need to relax after the concert. So when the concert is over, he sits down at a table and plays with Legos like any kid would, and that's a way for him to relax. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Here comes the third and final part.
Ed Sheeran's rise to fame is as unique as the fun facts about him. Whether he's chilling out with Lego sets or hanging out with Taylor Swift, Sheeran proves that you can achieve success while staying true to yourself. Fans love his music, but it's his genuine personality that keeps them coming back.
第3部分看到形容词 genuine， 它表示真诚的、真正的、非伪造的，可以说 The island locals are good-natured and genuine in their demeanor. 这个小岛的当地居民行为举止善良又真诚。最后一个例子 Joe offered a genuine apology to his friend after their argument. Joe 与朋友吵架后，真诚地向朋友道了歉。
All right, we are back with the final part of our article here about Ed Sheeran. We've learned a lot of interesting facts about him. So let's see how it all wraps up. It says, Ed Sheeran's rise to fame is as unique as the fun facts about him. Yes, I think that's a very good statement to make about him. His rise to fame, the way he went from kind of an unknown bedroom musician, as he was as a young man, to becoming the famous world-spanning global pop superstar that he is, it is a very unique story. Right? We've learned a little bit about how he taught himself to play guitar, how he was homeless. We didn't even mention the part where I think he moved to California. He met the movie star Jamie Foxx when he was kind of still unknown. And Jamie Foxx thought he was so great and talented. Jamie Foxx let him live in his house rent-free for like a year or something like that. I mean, there's many unique stories about this guy. He really did have quite a life and quite a journey from unknown musician playing on the street corner to big music superstar. So it's a very unique story, a very unusual and special and interesting story. And so we've learned a lot of these fun facts about him. Let's recap some of them.
Yep, let's recap his career. Let's review things. Let's wrap things up here. So here it says, whether he's chilling out with Lego sets or hanging out with Taylor Swift, Sheeran proves that you can achieve success while staying true to yourself. So this is a way we wrap up articles. This is one way or one particular pattern that we can use. Whether it's this or whether it's that, then this is the case. So we're using that pattern here. Whether he's chilling out with Lego or being friends with Taylor Swift, because of these two things and among other things, he proves that you can achieve success, but you can still be true to yourself. You don't have to make any sacrifices. You can be yourself. Of course, a lot of us, if we want to be successful, we need to make some sacrifices. Maybe we don't want to do something, but we have to do it anyway. We have to change this particular aspect of our personalities. But he still was true to himself. He's still the person he was when he started.
There you go. He's got millions of dollars, but he's never given up ketchup for caviar. He still loves his ketchup. So yeah, he's still a regular dude at heart. Fans love his music, but it's his genuine personality that keeps them coming back. So there you go. Fans love his music. He's had, I think, 4 or 5 successful albums so far. So that, of course, is true for any successful pop star. A lot of fans have to love your music, but his genuine personality, a personality that hasn't seemed to have changed much from when he was that unknown musician in London playing on street corners for coins, that's part of his genuine personality. If something is genuine, it's real, it's authentic. If you're buying a luxury handbag, an LV bag from a night market, it might not be genuine, it might not be authentic or real. It might be a fake in some kind of way, but his personality is not fake. He's not pretending to be someone he isn't. He's not suddenly living the life of a rich millionaire, drinking champagne for breakfast or things like that. No, he has a regular, down-to-earth, everyday sort of person type of personality, a genuine personality. Who he seems to be is who he is. And so fans keep coming back for that, because even if he could live the life of that out-of-touch millionaire rock star in his private jet, he doesn't, because that's not who he is. So he still sings songs that people understand. He's not complaining about the life of a millionaire. He's complaining about average things that average people still struggle with and deal with and have success with in their normal everyday lives.
Boy, am I going to go on Spotify after our program and listen to his songs. I'm looking forward to that. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher, Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。 课文第二部分提到红发艾德身上的刺青，其中最引人注目的是他左手臂上的亨氏番茄酱标签。他很热爱这种酱料，甚至热爱到要求助理随时携带一瓶应急的番茄酱。好，那文中是用 Sharon is such a fan that he 怎么样来描述他热爱的程度。那当我们用 such 加 that 子句，是表达非常以至于怎么样，如此结果怎么样，那么用来强调事物程度很高以至于造成某个结果。 such 之后可以接单数可数名词、复数可数名词或者是不可数名词。那么名词的前方你还可以加入形容词来修饰。举例来说， It was such a beautiful dress that I couldn't stop looking at it。 那件洋装非常美，我忍不住一直盯着它看。好，那这边顺便补充几个也可以强调程度的句型。第一个我们可以用到 so 加上形容词或副词，后面接 that 子句。那这是用来强调 so 后面的形容词或副词，说明某事物的程度高到造成某个结果。那 that 子句就是用来表达结果。像我们刚刚那个例句，其实也可以说 The dress was so beautiful that I couldn't stop looking at it。再看到第二个补充的句型是 so 后面加上 many, much, few 或是 little 再加名词，后面接 that 子句。那这个句型可以强调数量多到或是少到造成某个结果。那其中 many 和 few 是用来修饰复数可数名词， much 和 little 是用来修饰不可数名词。举例来说， We were having so much fun that we didn't want to leave the party。 我们在派对上玩得很开心，以至于不想离开。再看一个例句是 Miranda has so many clothes that she's running out of space to store them。 Miranda 有太多衣服了，以至于快要没有空间收纳了。好，那么下一个补充的句型是 so 加形容词，然后加上 a 或 an加名词，后面再接 that 子句。这边就要特别注意它的字词顺序，是在 so 的后面先接形容词，然后再用 a 或 an 去加单数可数名词。这个词序就跟 such 的用法不同咯。所以如果我们说 such a decent man， 如此正派的人，如果在这边用这个 so 去改写，会变成 so decent a man。不过像这样的用法其实可能没那么常见，比较会用在文学或者是正式书写当中。好，那么再看到课文第三部分有一句写到，红发艾德证明了忠于自我也能获得成功。好，当我们用 stay true to 加上名词，这表示忠于什么什么，恪守什么什么。 Stay true to oneself 表示忠于自我，坚持做自己，不违背自己的信念，不随波逐流。举例来说， She inspired me to always stay true to myself。 她激励我要永远忠于自我。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天单字吧。
Reflect. Heath's actions during the recent emergency reflect his strong sense of responsibility. Assistant. Jackie's assistant handles her schedule and takes phone calls for her. Enthusiastic. Henry is really enthusiastic about the idea of joining the school drama club. Debut. The actor's debut film performance was seen by millions of people around the world. Genuine. Although Natalie doubted Bob's reasons for helping us, he showed genuine concern about our situation.
Discussion Starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, what do you think has been the biggest factor in Ed Sheeran's success as a musician?
I think he has found so much success because of one word, dedication. He's worked hard at what he does. He's become very good at it. He also surrounds himself, I think, with good people. I think he married a girl that he was dating in high school or something like that. He's been writing songs with the same person through much of his career, so he's not sort of turned his back on the people that he knew before he was famous. I think that speaks to his genuine personality.
Well, it seems to me that his success mostly comes from the fact that he is self-taught. If you study music on your own, you don't rely on other people to help you with things. You actually succeed on your own. And I think that's good advice if you're learning a foreign language as well. You shouldn't really depend on the teacher to teach you everything. It's really up to you. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.